next talk is by Dr. Michel Henry, who is going to be talking about FEMPOP in-stent restenosis, how do we treat. Dr. Michel needs no introduction. He's been my teacher and mentor, and so he has been for hundreds of interventional cardiologists, radiologists, and vascular surgeons all over the world. And this is a very important topic, FEMPOP, in-stent restenosis. And yesterday we had a talk by Dr. Busquet, and today we have Dr. Henry talking on the same subject.
So thank you, Dr. Kala. So in-stent restenosis, it's an important problem. You see the large number of femoropopital stents worldwide per year, and you have in-stent restenosis in 20 to 30% of the cases at 1 year, up to 50% at 2 years. So it's very important. Recurrent in-stent restenosis after treatment, 65%. So you have a lot of in-stent restenosis.
Recording stopped.
That's one of the main drawbacks of femoropopital stenting, leading to stent failure and repeat intervention. The risk of in-stent restenosis is related to the type of stent implanted. We have a higher risk with BMS. DES reduce the risk of in-stent restenosis by 50%. Cover stent reduce also the risk. Stent implantation is associated with mechanical stressor, vessel elongation, torsion, flexion, extension, and we have lesion-specific factors, lesion length, small vessel diameter, patient characteristic, and we have more in-stent restenosis in diabetics and smoker. Restenosis appears most of the time during the first year and with a peak at 1 year. And if you have stent fracture, you know that you have more in-stent restenosis. As stent fracture favor in-stent restenosis. We have now a classification of in-stent restenosis, TOSACA 1, 2, 3. TOSACA 1 is a small restenosis. TOSACA 2, a stenosis greater than 50 millimeter in length, and TOSACA 3, a total occlusion of the vessel. What are the available therapy for in-stent restenosis? POBA, cutting balloon, brachytherapy, etc. We'll see that. PTA alone perform poorly in in-stent restenosis. So when you have in-stent restenosis, if you have just balloon, you must know that the complications, the restenosis rate is very high. And you see that for TOSACA 3, for example, class 3, you have a restenosis in 84% of the cases. So higher recurrence rate in long, diffuse lesion and occlusion. Bare metal stent, you could place another bare metal stent, but restenting of femoropopital in-stent restenosis should be considered only in case of BMS fracture or need to reline a previous BMS. Supera could be the best solution if you have the choice in BMS. Brachytherapy is difficult to discuss that. Not a lot of centers have that, but it could be an option if you had that. Drug-coating balloon, that's an option, a new option. And in the previous publication, at what year follow-up, for example, in this publication, you see that drug-coating balloon is better than PTA to treat in-stent restenosis. In this first study also, at 1 year follow-up, you have good result, but short lesion. And also, this publication, good 1 year follow-up, and after this result, FDA approved the first drug-eluting balloon for treatment of in-stent restenosis in 2016. So, in-stent drug-coated balloon could be an option at least first year, 2 years. And French study also good result at 18 months. And 2-year follow-up with this study, you could say we have favorable, durable benefit at 2-year follow-up. But the problem is not 2-year follow-up, but maybe after that. And for example, this Pacuba trial also show good 1-year follow-up. But if you look at, excuse me, if the lesion, depending on the lesion, task A, B, we have good result, but in task C and B, C and D, you see that the results are very bad at 1 year, 2-year follow-up. So, if you look at longer follow-up, 1 year, 92% is good. 2 years, 70% is not too bad. But at 3-year follow-up, you have a complete catch-up and you have no difference between drug-eluting balloon and plain balloon. So don't expect good long-term results with drug-eluting balloon. In this Copacabana trial, you see the catch-up of the drug-coating balloon group over time, which reduce the benefit of drug-eluting balloon. Also, in the debate study in central stenosis, you see also a late catch-up at 3-year follow-up. So you have a complete catch-up at 3-year follow-up. So it's difficult to say drug-coated balloon is a good option to treat in-stent restenosis. So the longer and more complex the lesion, the worse is the primary patency and freedom from TLR. We have benefit on 1-2 years, catch up at 3 years, and plain drug-coated balloon is not better than just a plain balloon. Drug-eluting balloon might work for short lesion on a short term. We have other technique we could propose, atherectomy system, laser, and in this study, you can see that laser could be a solution, but in fact, laser is better than PTA alone, but the primary patency is disappointing, and at 1 year follow-up, the patency is low, less than 40%. So laser alone is not a good solution. If you combine laser plus drug-eluting balloon, you see that this technique is better than laser plus balloon alone. So laser plus drug-coating balloon could be a good solution to treat in-stent restenosis, and also reported by Walker. We see also that the patency with this technique is much, much better than with PTA alone or drug-coating balloon alone. So also another publication showing that laser plus drug-coating balloon is better than drug-coating balloon alone or drug-coating balloon plus POBA. And if you look at this study by Vandenberg, you see that the patency at 3 years is 71%, primary patency. So laser plus drug-coating balloon give favorable long-term result and may represent the best option. The primary patency in this publication was 91% at a mean time of 14 months in class 3 in-stent restenosis. So that means occlusion, in-stent restenosis with occlusion. So laser plus drug-coated balloon is a good option. Another device, Jetstream, you could use, but in fact, if you use this technique, you have some you may have some complication, distal embolization, and you need bailout stenting in 6% of the cases. That's an example. But also with Jetstream alone, the patency is not very high, and it's difficult to say that Jetstream alone is a good option. Maybe you have to add also drug-coated balloon to this technique. Directional atherectomy plus drug-coated balloon could be a good option also, and we have just result at 1 year, and you can see that the patency is 84%. So if you compare with PTA group, 43%, so it could be a good option. So if you use atherectomy device, use atherectomy plus drug-coated balloon, but not alone. Drug-eluting stent could be also a good option, and you see with Caesar PTX also good 1 year result. But the best publication is this one by Japanese interventionist, and you see 5-year follow-up with Silver PTX for long lesion, 17 centimeters. If you compare with non-instant restenosis, you see that the results are better in the group non-instant restenosis than if you look at the instant restenosis group. 68% of patency, primary patency or freedom from TLR at 5 years, it's not too bad. And to finish with technique, cover stent. Also, the Reline study with cover stent Viaban, you can see that at 2-year follow-up, the results with Viaban are not too bad, 66% from primary for freedom from TLR. If you compare with PTA, 23%. So it's much, much better. So to conclude, instant restenosis remains difficult to treat. PTA, cutting balloon alone are not sufficient. Drug-eluting balloon is an efficient treatment for short Tosaka 1 instant restenosis lesion, but may lack long-term durability in more complex lesions, Tosaka 2 and 3, with late catch-up at 3 years. Cover stent and the drug-eluting stent seems to be a better option in Tosaka 2 and 3 lesions. Atherectomy device alone are not sufficient. You must use atherectomy plus other techniques like drug-eluting balloon. There is an absolute need for a new randomized control trial comparing the different treatment options. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. That was very informative and exhaustive and complete. So we have a lot of inputs both from you and from the surgeon's perspective, and this is one disease which is very difficult to treat, and it's always dreaded, and there are many ways to treat it, and we have really learned a lot, and you have given us a good perspective where do we stand today in treating FEMPOP instant restenosis.